It's Friday, and that can only mean one thing: HR Fridays, your weekly dose of HR, brought to you by yours truly, Ruby Engena. Today I'm very excited to host the show at one of the best gyms in Kampala today, Marco's Gym and Spa. Are you looking for a good spa? Do you love Zumba or aerobics, or you just want a fully equipped gym to do your own workout? This is the place for you to be. For the last month, we've been looking at psychological capital and all the aspects to do with psychological capital. And I'm so excited to have our next guest. She loves talent and development. She loves capability. She loves learning and development and anything to do with organizational development. While she's not at work, she does love a good workout. Join me as I sit down with the learning and development and organization development manager at Coca-Cola Beverages Africa, Jacqueline Munene. Enjoy. Jackie, welcome to HR Fridays.
Thank you, Ruby.
Are you well?
I am well.
So Jackie, how many push-ups can you do?
I'm not really good at strength training. I'm just building that. But as of now, I can do about 15.
15?
Yeah.
I can't even do 2. Like
well, it's all
literally.
about resilience.
Yeah. Interesting. Anyway, this is HR Fridays, as you've been told. This month I've been speaking about psychological capital and all the aspects of psychological. But before we get into all that seriousness, I'd like to break the ice.
Okay.
So, have you been embarrassed before?
Yeah, I think I have been embarrassed. I think it was an embarrassment to me, but I'm not sure if someone else is perceiving it as an embarrassment.
Yeah. What happened?
I think it was about 3 years ago. I was still doing my master's, so I happened to go for a conference in a country where my second name is quite common. Yeah. So we were in breakaway sessions, so there were different speakers for different rooms and different sessions. So at about 8 a.m. on Tuesday, I got a phone call from the receptionist, and she was like, "Oh, your session is starting at 8. We are waiting for you." So I'm thinking, okay, this is really serious. Like, they really care so much about us, the people attending. So I was like, okay, I'll be there really soon. So I dress up quite fast and then run downstairs. So when I get down, there are so many people. They're like, "Oh, Jacqueline Munene has come." So I'm thinking, so I'm thinking, okay, at a moment I was like, maybe there's something strange. But I was like, it's already 8, so I rushed through the rooms. I didn't even take a moment to look at which exact session that was. So before I know it, they're dragging me all the way to the front. So when I get to the front, there's a table full of panelists. And they were times 3 my age. So I was thinking, okay, I'm supposed to be an attendee, not an actual speaker. So it takes me a minute to realize, and they're like, "Oh, thank you so much for being patient. Jacqueline Munene has arrived. She's ready to speak about organizational politics. So visit the Nyambura region." And I was like, oh my. And I was already right at the front. So I just almost sat for a moment, then I just spoke to the moderator and said, "I'm so sorry, I really don't think I'm the Jacqueline Munene." She's like, "Oh really?" Then I'm like, "Yeah." So anyhow, hush. It was sorted out somewhere, somehow. But walking out of that room, oh my goodness, it was the longest journey. It's like I was walking to Mount Everest.
So you had your 10 minutes of fame.
Yeah, of embarrassing fame. Yeah.
That's so hilarious. So we've been looking at psychological capital and all the 4 aspects. So let's talk through it. Tell me about the 4 of them in a layman's language.
Okay. Before I walk you through those different dimensions of psychological capital, we can call it PsyCap for now. Okay. So every time I mention PsyCap,
I know what you're talking about.
I just would want you to know where it starts. So there's been an emergency of something called the positive psychology movement. So it's been a big deal. In the Western world, it's already culminated in almost every organization. So this positive psychology movement came out when some of the authors and the scholars actually found out that individuals flourish more when there are positive psychological capacities and traits that come out. And they found out that these traits are things that will actually help us drive productivity, performance at work, because basically if someone is happy, their livelihood is happy, their quality of life is happier, then their level of productivity is higher. So that's where it came from. So basically, the psychological capital is like is like a child, let's say it was backed by the positive psychology movement. But to just be more layman, as you said, like I just want to take you back to basics, like economic capital is about finance, let's say, assets. Then there's social capital. Social capital is about relationships. Who do you know, who your friends are, your work networks, etc. Then there is human capital, which is usually the biggest driver in organizations, and it's what you know. Basically your experience, your skills, basically your knowledge. That is human capital.
So human capital is the human resource,
exactly,
the talent.
what you know, and that has been what is driving even human resources as of now. Then the scholars came and said there's what they call psychological capital. Who you are. In other words, who are you really? Are you a confident person? Are you a resilient person? Do you have enough psychological capital, hope? Do you have enough psychological optimism? So that is who you are. You understand?
Yes.
So that is just the breakdown of where psychological capital comes from. So as you said, I know you've spoken about a few, so I'll be very basic. Basically, I'll talk about self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is more or less confidence to succeed. It's someone's individual conviction about their own innate ability to do something successfully. Like if I feel that I can conjure up the right cognitive resources or the right motivation to do something, then I have self-efficacy. But it's my inherent ability, or I need to know that I can do it.
15 push-ups perhaps.
Exactly. So you have to have that. Then resilience, you all know what, that's one of the most, I think, widely used phrases or dimensions of psychological capital. It's basically being able to bounce back from adversity, or having, positive changes from something has been so drastic, like something has been so devastating, and then you've been able to bounce back and have a positive change about that. Then the two, which is hope and optimism, people always try, I find that people fail to separate the two or differentiate them, but I would say that there are different dimensions for it. Now, in a layman's language, I won't tell you what hope is. I'll just tell you hope has 3 dimensions. It has goal conceptualization. For me to wake up and say that Jackie can do this, that's goal conceptualization. That's one dimension. The second is agency thinking. Agency thinking is what we call the way power, having
the pathways.
Exactly. And then we have what we call pathways, or you can call it pathway thinking. Having that extra, like if I say I'm going to create this path, I need to have agency thinking to give me that motivation to make sure that I do that. So that's hope. Now optimism, just like hope, is also very similarly used and very regularly, but it also has 2 dimensions that are separate from hope. And it's really about self-explanatory, the way you explain bad events or good events to yourself. That is what optimism is. So as Jackie, I'll say like an optimist, a bad event, I'll say I was very exhausted. Then if Ruby is a pessimist, hers will say, how maybe her answer would be, oh my goodness, I was totally washed up. Like, then for pessimists, it's always permanency. But for optimists,
and a bit negative,
it's temporary. And for an optimist person, like it just passed. Like if something bad happens, I'll just say, that was just a bad day. You understand? But for you'll say,
life is horrible.
Life is always bad. Like there's that kind of, so it's really about permanency and temporariness. Like that's the way we look at it.
So basically there's a thin line between hope and optimism.
There is a thin line, but I told you the differentiating factor is way power, that pathway. Because I think you hear in optimism, it's still a lot about the mind, what you perceive, what you think, just like hope. But what sets it apart is the actual pathway. If you go and make a pathway to change something, that's what sets it. So if I do something and say, I want to pass my exams, that means I want to sit down and read every night.
That's pathway.
A pathway. And that pathway is not available in optimism. You understand? But optimism will help in issues where if that pathway is blocked, if I stay up the whole night and I still don't pass my exams, I need to find an alternative pathway. Now that alternative pathway will only be done if I'm still optimistic. And I'll say, Jackie, go find a teacher or someone to help you, coach you, to actually pass your exams, because the other option, the other pathway was a blockage, it didn't work. So that's where optimism feeds into hope. But without way power, what you're going to do, which is the pathway, there's no hope. So hope and optimism, there's only one differentiation, which is the actual pathway.
So listening to everything that you've said, would you say which of the 4 factors is a do or die for you? Which is a must-have?
When I thought about this initially, my answer would have been hope.
Yeah.
I've always been affiliated to hope so much, psychological capital hope,
yeah.
because I felt like it was one aspect or one dimension that could really be used in the work, the work arena, especially in aspects of goal conceptualization. That's something we do. I mean, we do that all the time in our organizations to make sure that we have a competitive advantage over our competitors.
Yeah.
But when I look at it clearly, I feel like psychological capital is a system, it's a synergy, and there's a reason why all the 4 dimensions exist.
Yeah.
So if I was to tell someone to focus on one, I think I'll be doing them a disservice.
Yeah.
I honestly think that everyone should try and build all the 4 dimensions of psychological capital, because they're there for a reason. Because if I told you I would focus on hope, the fact, Ruby, is that we create pathways all the time, but even when we create them, they sometimes don't work. So the need to create an alternate route is very important. It's like it's a basic requirement. But if I create an alternate route and it still doesn't work,
you need resilience to bounce back. Yeah.
Or I will need optimism that, you know what, the next one will perhaps work.
Yeah.
So if I stick to hope, the probability that I will continue my path of success is
like
it's not going to happen. So for me, that would be my answer. My answer is that if you want to be successful, you want to flourish, you need all the 4 dimensions of psychological capital.
Okay, which leads me to my next question, Jackie. Are the psych-up aspects something someone is born with? Can you grow, like self-efficacy? Can you grow your level of resilience, your level of hope or optimism, or you either have it or you don't?
Well, according to the scholars and a lot of what I actually learned, specifically around the positive psychology movement, the fact is no one, like there are some people that are naturally born optimistic. That's the fact. But does that mean that Jackie, who is not clearly optimistic, will always be a pessimist? No. Everyone and anyone can build their psychological capital. And remember, when I say psychological capital, I mean all the 4. Anyone and everyone can. There are different steps. As for measurement, there is actually a measurement by Luthans. If you have time to step away from here, you can read about Luthans, because they are the authors and they are the fathers of psychological capital. There is a 24 scale item that actually measures, and it will tell you how badly or how well you are doing on psychological capital. The beauty about it is that you can build it. I'll give you an example. If I'm a hope manager, I mean psychological hope manager, I have it, and Ruby, you report to me. I can even make sure I build psychological capital hope in you. And how would I do that? I make sure that, because remember, hope is about goal conceptualization. I'll make sure that I give you, Ruby, challenging goals. Goals that will stretch you a bit, goals that will make you sit back and say, what kind of pathways should I come up with as Ruby to be able to achieve this goal? And if it doesn't happen, you step back and say, how can I go and find an alternative path that will help me achieve that same goal? As a manager, I could develop the psychological capital hope in my employees. So in a nutshell, all this stuff can be developed. And there are psychometric tests, inventory tests, interest-based tests. All those things are done, and you can measure them and find where you lie on that scale, and then you can decide to take those conscious decisions to actually develop some of this, because you need them to flourish in your organization.
So just a question that popped in my head as you were speaking. If I'm a self-efficacy manager, can I develop my employee by constantly telling them, you can do this, you got this is easy for you? Is that
of course. If I'm a self-efficacy manager and I keep consistently, letting my employees know that they have this, they can do that, they have the right knowledge, the right skills, the right competences to deliver what they must deliver, then definitely, I mean, if I was reporting to you, Ruby, and you consistently challenging me and consistently encouraging me, definitely. It's like giving me empowerment. As long as you empower me to a certain level to do certain things, then definitely I'll have confidence. As long as I have confidence to succeed, then I have self-efficacy.
And the same applies for all. If someone keeps telling you, bounce back, it's okay, be optimistic. And
Yeah, and of course you have to live it.
Yeah.
You're speaking all the time and then you don't live it. Like if something happens, because the thing about resilience that maybe I forgot to tell you, one of the aspects about it is that you have to be in tune with reality.
True.
You have to be. Like you can't be resilient if you are not in tune and you not accepted the reality. For example, I'll give an example. If I was fired from an organization because of something that ideally would affect me, my employment in any other institution that's like that.
Yeah.
For me to have hope, to keep applying to the same organizations, then I'm not accepting my reality.
Yeah.
Like this is not wishful thinking. You have to be honest about it. So what I would do, instead of sitting home and crying, maybe I can become an entrepreneur. I'll find other ways of making money out of the corporate environment because whatever I did has affected that. So you must be in tune with your reality.
Okay.
And you have to know that you have to want to learn and you have to want to live.
Yeah.
You understand? Yeah, so basically.
So Jackie, conclusively, what are your 2 cents on PsyCap?
Well, my 2 cents about PsyCap is that right now, there are different, how can I say, organizations consistently raising their entry barriers for people to join the organizations is no longer competitive. It's no longer sufficient for you to sustain performance because those things can be replicated. If I'm in organization A and organization B, we can learn how you guys, what competences you use to keep hiring people. But psychological capital cannot be replicated. Either you have it or you don't. So it's what we call inimitable factors. They cannot be imitated. They are renewable. So they will set you apart. So I feel like for organizations right now in Uganda, that's where we should be going. We shouldn't just be focusing so much on raising the entry levels and the barriers. We should be focusing on how can we grow psychological capital in our staff so we can sustain that competitive advantage, because the fact though is those factors are not replicable. They are not. You either have it or you don't.
Thank you very much, Jackie.
You're welcome.
So many things to think about there. You know, before we started, I always thought self-efficacy was the best. Like if you either believe in yourself or you don't. But you've given me, you've helped me see the connection. You can't have self-efficacy without hope. You can't have self-efficacy without resilience, because at the end of the day, stuff will happen and you need to bounce back. To the rest of the viewers, I know this has been worth your while. Catch you next week, and remember, you are the CEO of you.